good morning, and good morning. Okay, it's not as bad as it has been. The cold is starting to wane a little bit. Thank you, Lord. Oh man, um, I'm just like over it. If I lived up in New York like I used to, I probably would just absolutely be in the house all the time. But of course, you still have to go out and do some things here. But yesterday when I went to church, it was 28 degrees. So I was very cold. But today, I don't know what the temperature is today, but it was feeling much better. I think it was in the high 30s, or it might even be the 40s. I don't know. But I'm feeling pretty good. I'm feeling pretty good and got my little coffee, and I'm ready to talk today about hey, Miss Joan. Oh, we missed you. We missed you. We missed you. Hope you had a wonderful Christmas and a pleasant and fun um, excursion, because I know you love to take I know you love to take your trips on a cruise. You and Jim. That is wonderful. I haven't done it yet. I don't know when I'm going to do it, but one of these days I am going to venture out. I just look at that water and I always say I can't drink it all. So, I'm always worried about what if. And of course, I saw the Titanic. But, the Bible says that God didn't give us the spirit of fear. So I need to feel better about that. I really, really do. But I know Deb should be in here because she's anticipating you getting back here today. And I told her that you were definitely going to be on your way. We had a great cruise for 8 days. Wow, 8 days. That's wonderful. That is just absolutely wonderful. I another friend of mine went. Actually, two friends have gone on cruises over the holidays, and so it must be that the prices are good, and because it's all in one. Your place to stay, the food, the scenery, the games, the entertainment. I think, it sounds like that's probably well worth the money, whatever you pay. I'm going to do it. After this year, I'm going to try to do some more stuff for myself. I still work. And sometimes the working gets away of you ever doing anything for yourself because you do for others. So I'm going to try to serve up a little bit for myself this year. So that's my new thing. But today I thought I wanted to talk about so many things that have gone on in the airways and on social media and so many things. And so I said I wanted to talk about machination. And machination it's a plot or a scheme, and there's just so many plots and schemes that go on throughout our lives. We don't even know all the things that sometimes people are plotting against us, or scheming against us, and we're just caught up in the middle of it. And so my question this morning on the page was, are you a person that's either been victimized by it, or have you been a perpetrator of machination? Because it's just one of those things that sometimes we might come together for the sole purpose of everybody just all after this one thing that everyone's against. And because it becomes the pull or the connection that everybody kind of gravitates toward. That's where we go. That's where we stay. And I'm quite sure anytime you have big demonstrations, or you have you know I guess they said the little things that go on that says, hey, look, we're against this group, we're against that group. All those things are probably, if they were to break it down, it would all be considered to be what they would call a machination. And we'll go on more about the word in a minute. But let's see, some reminder. I don't know what that says. Somebody sent me something on my website, on my bottom of my page here. But anyway, I found this quote, and I really really like the quote. I really like the quote, and the quote is by Quoth the Raven, and it says one day in a life, and we don't even realize that our lives every day are bombarded with news, with you know happiness, maybe with sadness, maybe with boredom. We can probably assess what we do and don't do in one given day, and some days we absolutely can think we made it through, but what did we do in that day? Sometimes we did a lot, sometimes we did absolutely nothing. But anyway, I like this poem when I was reading it early this morning, and see what you like. See if you like it. It says, if you could relive one day of your life, and it says, time lost. Now retreat for just a short while to thrust old scheming machinations knife, or return healing to a lover's smile. Such a frittering those lost days, the ones you and I remember most. Passion reared high in servile dewy haze. Soft breath warmed against skin from dearest toast. Moment waits, untended, a dreamer's call. Something I can never give you again. Bodice caught on nail of new lover's wall, though we may choose to return now and then. Tarried too long, looking to horizon's edge, promised heart unharmed, now pull from alleged. That poem is really heavy because it talks about how what we've gone through may replicate itself in what we see happening to us today, not realizing that the moments that we have gone through, the length of time we may come, and which is what my question was. Sometimes do you get through a day and realize that you've lost a lot of time and you did nothing? That's what this speaks to. Or it's something that comes back to you as a thought that returns itself to being almost fretful. It's like, I didn't do this, and I did that. Sometimes we can look back over our lives and say we've gone through a period of time of machinations. We just know that we've been on the cusp of being angry, or on the cusp of being worried, or in the middle of what I would say chaos. Our lives are our lives. We go through them in such a way that we try to do whatever we can do to say that we made it through the day. We made it through today. Good morning, Maurice. Good morning, Maurice. Good morning, Erica. Good morning, Cheryl. Hey, y'all. How you doing? How you doing? But anyway, such a great poem. It's called One Day in the Life by Quoth, or Quoth. I don't know how he would pronounce his name. The Raven, Theraven. And I did get it off the internet. When you look up the word poems for machination, it comes up. So to me, it started me off right, because I was trying to say, well, how would I get people into understanding the whole concept of machination? And machination it's schemes, it's plotting, it could be intrigues, it's conspiracies, it's ruses, it's designs, it's devices. I was looking at something the other day on television. It was talking about all these new devices they have out to track people, to almost like have an AI approach to say that, to place you someplace that you were not, someplace that you've never been. It says it's tricks, tactics, maneuvers. All those speak to what machination is all about. Gives you pause, doesn't it? It gives me pause. I'm going to tell you that right now. It gives me pause, because I heard somebody use the word, and I said, what, I haven't used that word in a long time. Let's dig a little bit. Let's see what it brings up and how it relates to what we're going through now as a society, as an individual, or as a group. What are we going through? What do we see? Or what can we acknowledge? Can we look back over our lives? I love that song. When I look back over my life and I think things over, I can truly say, you can look back over your life and you say, oh, I did that, or I didn't do that. I started out right, but it somehow went kind of flunky. It didn't go right. So when I break this word down, but before I do, I'm going to ask you: have you ever, or are you stuck on a machination? Something that's happened to you. Are you in one now? Has someone targeted you? Have you become victimized over some years or currently by someone saying that you did something you didn't do? Or were you part of a group that victimized others and say, yeah, this is what I found on them? And sometimes people who are what I would call or messy and evil and busy, nosy, they will make up stuff, even if it didn't happen. Even if it didn't happen. So when we break this word down, when I start with that M, that's maneuvers. Looking at how people will maneuver around you to come up with something totally uninvolved with you at all, but all of a sudden you're part of it. It says it's a movement or a series of movements requiring skill and care. People put a lot of attention into making sure that what they want the outcome to be, they're going to create. They're going to create it. They're going to paint the picture. They're going to paint the picture. So it says maneuvers are operations, exercises, moves, movement, activity, and action. Those are all of what the maneuver process of machination is all about. What would you write for your M for machination, since you know that it is a plot or a scheme? Next thing, when I move further on in the word, my A is for artifice, which is excuse me, artifice, which is clever or cunning devices. Now you probably know some people that are really on malfunction. Yes, that's a good word. Manipulation. Okay. Isn't that good? Manipulation, malfunction, artificial. Oh, that's a great word. That's even better than the one but artificial would also be like this. It's clever, cunning devices or expedients, especially as used to trick or deceive others. How many of us have been tricked and deceived? We have. Oh, somebody wrote abusive. Oh, abrasive. Yes. Because sometimes people have been basically harassed by others, into a position of cowardry, of retreat, of loneliness. They don't come out anymore because people have really done them in. They've really done them in. But this artifice, it really talks about it being trickery and deviousness, cunning. It talks about it being evasion, willingness, bluff, pretenses, fraudulence. Those are like heavy words, are they not? They all speak to how people sometimes are targeted and really dealt with poorly. Animosity. Animosity is also a good word. Yeah, sometimes animosity probably brings about everything else that forms into this whole machinational process that goes on. Say, yeah, we're going to get him. We're going to get her. I always wondered where it came from. Is it, I remember as children, we were not allowed to really, my family really didn't allow us to be in the cliquey kind of stuff. Because my mother always felt that cliques formed, animosity with other, people and groups because they saw you as that. And I said, well, and I would always ask, Here I am, the wise kid. So why why can you not be in a group, or why can you not have who you want to deal with? And she said, as a child, it doesn't work as good because children are, you know, flexible. They are gullible. They want attention, and if that's the way they're going to get it, sometimes they'll take it even if it's negative. So that's why we couldn't do it, but it certainly went on. It certainly went on. And so every time we thought we might be in a clique, we kind of tried to move away from it because, we didn't want the raft of Lily. So we kind of stayed away from it. My C in, in machination is for, complicity. Complicity is the state of being involved with others in an illegal or an activity of wrongdoing. Now, sometimes the activity of wrongdoing doesn't rise up to the level of it being legally or being illegal, but you can still do people wrong by some of the things that you say and do to them. Consequences. That's really good. Very good, Joan. When you think about the fact that you can be complicit just by being with people. And so, the fact that you may be hanging with people, it may not even be that you're really doing what they're doing, but by association, it is assumed. It is assumed. It's the same thing with culpability. They say when people are in trouble, and with the police, and there's been an act done, and then sometimes there's an act within an act. Say you were driving the car, and even though you didn't know that they were going to commit a robbery or that they were going to vandalize or whatever they were going to do, but they get caught, and then you are the one that was driving the car, or you were the one that was just in the car. Culpability. You're together with them, you know so you become complicit only because you're in the same group with them. Therefore, you've kind of just set yourself up to be a part of the masses. So then that becomes like a machination, approach to how things got done, even though you didn't know all the details. So complicity talks about it being a collision, something of involvement or collaboration, even if you didn't realize that you were collaborating. It says it becomes an abatement, a conspiracy, and it says being in cahoots. My mother said, my mother used to always use that word, are you in cahoots with so-and-so? So the word cahoots I knew as a child, we understood it. Complicated. Oh, that's good too. Because sometimes our lives are complicated. We will feel that we've done as much as we can to think we know all we need to know, and we don't. Good morning, Miss Rosie. How are you? Good to have you in the space. All right, love you, dear. So when we move on in the word, there's another word called harbinger. 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 It's something that foreshadows a future event. That means they're planning it, okay? Something that gives an pictorial sign of what is to come, meaning they've already put it together, kind of analyzed a little bit how it's going to go, and they head on out on it. I don't want that kind of thing happening, but every once in a while, let's face it, it does. Chaos, yep. Hair raising, yes. It is hair raising. It really is. It is something to see. You don't even realize that you've been a part of something that hardship. Oh, yes. Hardship is good too. But it also says that this harbinger speaks to really the herald that comes about, the sign, the omen. Sometimes people tell you that that you're a part of them, like you be looking at them in what way? A signal, a forewarning, meaning that sometimes they even tell you what it is that's going to happen before it does. It says it may be announced, and it says it, or it may be an avant carrier. meaning, avant, usually like avant-garde and all of that. That means there's an air about it. There's an air about it. It's out there. It's coming. We know what some of the things that's going to happen. We don't know it all, or we're not going to tell you it all, but it's there. So that's what we would do. And you got harrowing. Oh, that's really good, Erica. That's good, harrowing, because sometimes we do have harrowing experiences, even if we weren't the one who started anything, but we are caught up in it. We're caught up. My I in machination is intrigue. Okay, most people who are part of groups, large groups, and that may be doing wrong, there's intrigue for some. They like the adventure. It's something that catches them up. It's like, well, it's been boring around here, but let's do this. So intrigue talks about it being an aroused curiosity or an interest that basically is facilitated. And it's fascinating. It's fascinating. You see it happening. It's something that they say, hey, girl, we getting ready to, guy, we get, wait a minute now. What is it? What am I really doing? Imperfect. Yes, that's a good word. Imperfect is a great word for machination. The intrigue talks about it having interest, being of interest, being something that causes fascination, aroused. It causes people to be aroused about being involved, that people are tempted. They're tempted to be in some of these things. It's like, it sounds good. It must be good. Okay, remember I told you about that association. It says there's an attraction to it and a draw, something that is captivating, and there's charm, and it may be tintillated, may be tintillated by the concept or the ideas that's going to be coming. And it may find, and people may find it to be interesting and may be riveted with something that says, ooh, I'm going to do that. I'm getting involved in that. An imposition. Oh, that's really good too, Joan. I like it. And lastly, the intrigue says there's engagement. There's engagement, meaning that somebody feels like this is my call and I'm a part of this. This sounds really good. When we move on in our word, our N today in machination, I have is navigate, because to me, when you're doing wrong and even when you're doing right, you have to realize how you're going to get things done. And so there must be a navigational process to how life is going to be dealt with in the next week, the next hour, the next month, so forth and so on. So navigating through life, it says, is to gracefully involves a combination of self-awareness, resilience, empathy, and adaptability. Well, let's face it, when you've decided to be a part of this negative side of machination, then you have probably become aware of what you're doing. Your resilience is that you stay involved. The empathy that you have is not with the people that may be victimized, but with you, the people that are a part of your group that you're in. And it says in adaptability would be that you join. And it is negative. Absolutely. It is a negative. No way, no short of that, but a negative. When we move on with the word, and then it says it's also to navigate. It talks about, we look at the plot or the route we're going to take. We look at how the course that it's involving, whether or not we're going to sail out on the idea or what we're going to cross over, what we're going to do in order to get us further up the road. Nasty. Okay, Joe, you sound like Deb today. She was acting up on Friday. You're acting up today. Okay, I have to tell her. When we move on in the word of machination, my A for my second A is for agreement. Harmony or accordance in opinion or feeling. When people are a part of a machination and are part of unsettling something or doing something they have no business doing, It says they really are looking at the fact that they formed a bond where there's harmony with them, where they're in accordance with their opinions and their feelings. Their opinions and their feelings. It says it's a position or result of agreeing. You agreed. You agreed to be a part of this. Abstruse. That's right. Abstruse. I love the word abstruse because it really talks about the fact that, it's penetrating. Abstruse says it's in. It's in. We're bonded. We're bonded. We become a part of that. So the agreement says that it's on an accord that you've agreed on. It's an occurrence that you're involved with. There's consensus in terms of the group. There is the unison of it all. There's like-mindedness that occurs. There's an acceptance, and then there's endorsement. Wow, abnormal. Yes, that's another good word. You think about it, abnormal and agreement. I don't want to abnormally agree with anybody, but let's face it, people do. They do all the time. They do all the time. I just listened to some of the sound bites of and on social media or on the radio and the television, and it's amazing to me. It's amazing how our country has free speech, but it's almost targeted in such a way that they would have it that people would form these groups against other groups and form opinions, negative opinions against other people, other ideas, other ways of living, culture, and everything. It's just amazing to me. Amazing. We move further on in our word of machination. My T is for trick. Or trickery. Okay, a trick, to have a trick or have it be in trickery. It says it's a cunning or skillful art, an act of scheme intended to deceive or outwit someone. Do we not know that? We do. There's been many a person that's probably been outwitted by people. Every time I get, even the simplest things such as, identity on Facebook is supposed to be, easy to figure out. Well, if I already have a friend, have you in my friendship pool, and all of a sudden I get another note that says with the same picture that says so-and-so wants to be your friend, and I'll inbox them, I give them a direct message and say, is this you? And most of the time it is not. So now I don't even do it anymore. I never allow for the second agreement of forming a friendship. So trickery is common. People do it all the time. Toxic. Ooh, Cheryl, come on now. That is toxic. Trickery is toxic. And it says that it may also be a ploy, a ruse, a scheme, a stratagem. It may be a device or move. It may be something that's expedient. It's deceit. It's chicanery. It's deception. It's subterfuge, fraud, and a scam. There's that word again, scam. Okay. Such tactics go on all the time. Even if we're not paying attention, someone's paying attention to us. Every single day, this is absolutely no lie. Either I get something through my messenger or I get something on Facebook where they said, oh, you're just so beautiful, really want to get to know you. I can't send you a friend request. Will you send me a friend request? No. And then Meta always comes back and says, hey, you have some posts in your area on your pages that you should respond to. I don't respond. I guess I should just delete them and then that way, or block them, but it's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous that people do that. Twisted. Yes. Terror, twisted. Those are all good. Yes. Travesty. Ooh, Joan is on it. Joan, you rested up. You came back with some great stuff. So trickery really talks about the scamming that goes on in our daily lives. And so if they really scam on a large scale and they get into that whole process of machination, then that means they probably have formed, a group to do what they need to have done, which is, destroy sometimes. That's what happens. My I in machination is implementation. I don't believe you have a plan that works and yes, you implement it. And there's some people, their intention is always to be at the door of implementation. Oh, I ain't fooling with y'all. I ain't gonna mention that name, but I see it, Cheryl. It's true. It is true, but I try to keep politics out of my area, my arena. But let's face it, we need to be able to make our own decisions, and sometimes the implementation will happen because we're silent, and what is being sent in the airways may be twisted. But I think the message that we got, from and that we get from many of the people who are preachers is that they said, but where is your faith? Where is your hope? We have to have faith and we have to have hope. And so I try to live my life that I'm prayerful daily, hopeful always, and conscious about the fact that even though I may think I'm in a position of control, that the control has to belong upstairs, because some of the people in control down here are out of control. That's all I'm going to say. But the implementation process talks about how they would have a place for the process of putting decision to a plan into effect. It's the execution, it's the carrying out, it's the performance, sometimes it's an enactment, it's fulfillment, and overall it says with the exclamation point, it's the accomplishment. That's what happens. When we really look at how life goes forward, sometimes that's it. We don't really have anything that we can do to stop some of the things. Maybe we can stop trying to listen to it or turn it off when we hear it. But it's everywhere. It is everywhere. But this whole thing called implementation also says there's an achievement factor to it and an enforcement factor. So sometimes even once you get to the level of achievement, the enforcement becomes the reality of what actually happens. It could be that laws change, or it could be that positions and decisions are taken away, or what was okay before becomes unavailable later on. So those things happen. When we move further on, ill-favored. Oh, that's good. Ill-favored. Yes. When we move further on in our word of machination, my O is for operation. And the operation is the fact or condition of functioning or being active. Okay, impertinent. Okay, that's a great word. And sometimes things are very impertinent, but nonetheless, we may still be, in a position of hearing, needing to do, and impartial in the fact that we don't want to be involved, but we're involved by maybe by region, or maybe by financial status, or whatever it is. But sometimes we're pulled into things. The operation talks about the fact or condition of function or being active, the workingness of things, how things are run, the force that may be put behind it or into it. The opposition, oh, that's good. The opposition, the other side, and I'm obnoxious. Oh man, you came with it today. Obnoxious, yes. So there's also operation talks about things being effective, functional, and viable. We may not find viability, functionality, or effectiveness in anything that we see operating, but we will still may be victimized or being subject to something only because that's the conditions that we live in or under. That's it. I always, you know, think of countries where they don't have, freedom of speech, and they don't have the ability to just, get up and go and do what they want to do in the course of a day. And so in that respect, you feel that there is freedom. But on the other things, you realize that there's still propaganda, there's still information out there that places us at a point where we are subject to things that we hear and the things that we see. And so we have to do, my last word in here, we have to make sure that what has become noticeable, okay, it says easily seen or noticed, is apparent enough to us that if we're given an opportunity, we know which way we would go if we're given an opportunity. And so that would be looking at machination in a way that says, well, that's not the way I want to do things. I'm not involved in that. I'm not a part of that. But it doesn't say that you will not be on the other side of it, meaning that because you're not a part of it, then you're opposed to it. Because you're on the other side of it, then you're victimized by it. Those things we do understand. So when we look at noticeable, we look at, the percentile of it, the detectableness of it, the distinguishableness of it, it says observational level of it, the evidence, the apparent evidence. It says the pliableness and the salient. When we look at things that are happening out there, sometimes we don't look at them in a multi-optic view. We look at it in a myopic, meaning it's very limited. It's very, very limited. We don't look at it in it being optic, meaning we see it all. We sometimes only see the things that's most painful, the things that are most worrisome, and we don't see the entire, process that's going on. And sometimes the entire process doesn't always unfold at the same time. Narcissistic, yes. And nonsense, non-essential. Oh, Joan, you are on it today. Non-essential, nonsense, and narcissistic. All of those are true. A lot of times the people that are running cults, those folks have gone through, working on many people. And my prime example of that would be, like, if you all remember Jim Jones. Jim Jones led all of those people, and I think it was to Nicaragua, and basically killed them all when he realized that his process, his plan of action, his machination was changing to the point where it became unwielding. And, he didn't like the fact that he was losing the control he had over the people and where they lived and what they did for him. And, of course, that's when he forced all of them to drink out of the vats of poison Kool-Aid. So sometimes we just have to pause long enough to understand what it is that we are borderline involved in, or that we're very much involved in. And we have to make decisions about our involvement. So machination was the word of choice today. And remember, it is a plot or a scheme. And sometimes we are being victimized by it. But then sometimes, for people that are probably corrupt, they're the perpetrators. They're the perpetrators of it. So anyway, it's a word that you may or may not use, but it's a good word because it has other words that you can attach to it to give it what I call give it more illustrated understanding of what the word can bring to you. Listen, I love Are You Stuck? I don't know. I really think it was something that God gave me years ago when I didn't think I knew as many words as I should. And so I started playing with words, and here I am. So I am trying to work on the workbook and hoping that that will come to life. And then I want to have an online. Oh, it was Guyana. Yes. Thank you, Joan. Um, I knew it started with a G. I would like to, do some online fun with some of you all that we could do it as a Zoom or as I think it's Microsoft Team. There's a lot of platforms out there that make it where it's really easy that we can work as a group, but we can do it online and make it fun. But I'm gonna try to work on getting that workbook done soon. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm just trying to finish up my year as the Rotary president, and that's so busy. In fact, I need to write out a letter as soon as I finish this morning vlog. But I love you all. I appreciate you so much. If you don't do anything else, hit the share button and let other people know that there's a Winnie out here that doesn't mind helping people as much as I can, and there is no cost. Okay, there is no cost. Maybe one day I could charge, but hey, we just hit the button. Let it be shared. Okay. I'll see you on Wednesday with another word. And you have a wonderful day. And remember, don't get caught up in those machinations. Okay. Love you guys. Appreciate you. Thank you, Joan. Welcome back. Hey, Cheryl. Everybody that came. I know a lot of people, they come in, they're in and out because they're doing their business on other stuff that they have to get done by 9:30 or 10. All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.